Welcome, everybody. If we could just take a few minutes and I just want to know what everybody's favorite holiday food is coming up. I'm excited. I always get excited for this. So if you could type it in the chat. Stuffing, yes, so delicious. I could just like eat a bowl, not a food. Eggnog, that's a good one. Anything sweet, pies, pumpkin pie, Melanie, one of my favorites. Very good. Sweet potato casserole, yeah, all these sweet things, right, that we get. Oh, baked mac and cheese. Now, cheese, that's my language. I love that. I love that, everybody. Yeah, and the list probably goes on and on. As you all are seeing these, I had something pop up in my head like cut out cookies. I love those. And you really only get them, during special times, celebrations, things like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing more cookies come about and all that. But as you all are listing these things, I'm like, yeah, and eggnog. Oh yeah, and the pie. So it's like the list goes on and on. But we'll go ahead. Let me get out of this chat box so I can see my presentation. Oh, let's see. Okay, here. So today we're going to talk about some options for those holiday foods and how to maybe try and maintain or not impact our health as much as we possibly could. So I've got some examples for you. I do just want to remind everybody that, of course, at UF, we educate everybody here. So just a friendly reminder and our statement on the screen. Of course, during the holidays, even though it's time for fun and feasts and all of that, something we don't want to forget about is to take care of ourselves, our body, our health. So one way that we have to do that to kind of lead us towards, oh, should I eat this? Or, oh, is this like gonna make me regret something tomorrow? Is the My Plate graphic. So here, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this before, but it's always good to remember
Hi,
that,
Jill. I'm just
yeah,
gonna I'm just gonna interrupt. I'm not seeing anything on my screen. I'm not sure if it's changing.
is anybody else?
I can see the presentation, but I don't think your slides are moving.
Oh no. Okay. Let's let me pause. Let's see. Close. Let me try center. Try. I'll just do the full screen and we'll just try sharing again. Thank you for letting me know that.
Yeah, no problem. I can see my plate now, so you should be good to go now.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so thank you. There we go. Okay, so one way that, like I said, we can remember to kind of keep on track and all of that is by using the My Plate. We've got half of that plate, of course, fruits and veggies. We've got whole grains, that should say whole grains, I feel like, and lean proteins. Of course, oh, and of course, dairy. We can't forget that. But he said, of course, your plate may not look like this during, your holiday meal. But the more we strive for making half of our plates fruits and vegetables, half of them whole, or sorry, a good portion whole grains, and then lean proteins, and then including that low fat dairy, we can that'll kind of put you on the right track to being in a good place during the holidays and kind of during that battle of the bulge that I know I always have. So, just some simple things that you can do to make over your holiday plate is to tweak the sweets. So add in fruits, or serve fruits instead of all of those pies and cookies and things like that. So make sure that fruits are always available. Drink water to manage your calories versus sodas or high calorie cocktails or other drinks. Bake healthier. So you can use things like applesauce or bananas versus butter. There are sugar substitutes that you can use. So there's different options for baking healthier than using full fats and full sugars. Again, use those spices and herbs instead of sugars and salts. Remember to brighten up your meal. So again, half your plate with fruits and veggies. Skim the fat, so choose those low fat options if possible. Otherwise, limit how much you have of, say, whipped cream and things like that, those delicious goodies. Swap out your grains. So instead of choosing the white flour for making biscuits and buns and all of those, choose whole wheat flour. And I know whole wheat can sometimes seem a little dry or a little passe, but try mixing at least half whole wheat and half white flour, and I think you'll see that you kind of take the edge off of that whole wheat and you make it just a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to maybe digest and to enjoy. So, and then go easy on the gravy and other toppings. Gravy goes a long way. We don't need, a whole swimming pool of it anymore for our chicken or turkey or whatever. So it does go a long way. One little trick that I like to do is to put my gravy, instead of right on the food, put it in a little dipping cup. And I do that with sauces, gravies, dressings. And then I'll dip my foods in it rather than smother them or soak them in it. Okay, so what I thought I'd do today is give you a few options for some different ways that you could prepare foods and present them that may be a healthier way. So here I have a QR code to the link. It was a lot to put the entire recipe on a slide. So I've included QR codes for these recipes, but this is a cranberry sorbet that you can make. And this is just a new take on, say, serving cranberry sauce, which is very full of sugar. Here you can still see that we have sugar in this recipe, but you're really in control of it. So I would say if you want to lighten up the sugar a little bit, you could start by adding 1.5 cups or using a sugar substitute if that is your preference. And then you see that there are 4 cups of orange juice used to sweeten and create this sorbet. The nice thing about the orange juice is that it's also going to help sweeten your recipe, but you're going to be getting vitamins and minerals in that orange juice that you would not necessarily be getting in either a store-bought sorbet or just regular cranberry sauce. So I thought this was a neat little idea. I do like cranberry sauce, but I can only eat so much of it. And I see a lot of people who say, that they don't know what to do with the leftovers. And even after a couple days of making those turkey sandwiches with the cranberry sauce that's so good, there's sometimes still leftover. So this is another way that you can prepare cranberries, maybe avoid the leftovers. And here you can see that About 4 ounces of this sorbet is going to have 173 calories. So not too bad, less than 200 calories. It is a little high on the sugar, I'll admit that. But you can probably play around with that, lessen it a little bit to bring that down. Okay. Our next food that I kind of wanted to tackle was a sweet potato casserole. So what I wanted to do was get just a baseline of what the nutrition was for a typical sweet potato casserole. And so here are the nutrition facts that I found for one just kind of run-of-the-mill recipe. And that is that 1 cup serving has got 628 calories. If you if you're not aware, any unused calories that we have in our diet will store in our bodies and turn to fat. So reducing our calorie load is one way that we may be able to, and of course you need to talk to your doctor, things like that, but one way where we can kind of control whether or not we're gaining or losing or maintaining weight. Here too, you can see that it's got 37 grams of fat. According to this food label, that's about 47% of an average 2,000 calorie diet. So that's pretty high. We usually want those percentages to be lower for things like fat and sodium and sugars. And we want those percentages to be high for proteins, for fiber, all those good things, any vitamins and minerals, the higher the better, and typically, and for fat, calories, cholesterol, the lower the better. So sweet potato casserole, it's so delicious, but it's really not that great for you. So what do we say? Moderation, right? But I know that once I get a hold of something that I really like, man, it's hard to put down or to just take 1 scoop. I'll be in pain to, to eat more. So another option, this is actually from a website called Skinny Taste. This is one that I do like to visit, although we're not promoting anything really. But I do find a lot of options on this site and a lot of other ones. Cooking Light, My Plate is a great resource. So this is just another option, and you have the QR code there to visit the entire recipe. But this is a vanilla sweet potato casserole with a praline topping. And here you can see while the serving size that they have measured is a little lower, that our calories are much lower. So we've got a 2/3 of a cup version versus 1 cup. And our calories are just about 1/3 of what the other recipe called for. Even if we took a little bit more of this dish, we had a second helping, we're still not near the calories that were in that traditional, I'll just go back, in that traditional sweet potato casserole. Okay. So some other things that you can see is that this is a good source of protein. It's got some fiber added into it because of the praline topping with the whole grains and everything in there. So we're getting more than just low calories and things like that. We're also adding a lot of good nutrients. And nutrients, of course, are vitamins, minerals, all those things that our body needs to function. So something else here you may notice looking at the nutrition facts are that the fat is just, again, about what, 1/5 or so of, or 1/4 of the previous recipe, which clocked in at about, I think it said 37 grams of fat. So huge difference here, still get the same, the same type of dish, just another option to make sure you're not blowing your whole week or goal out the window. Okay. Another option to look at, this is, somebody said stuffing, and oh, I just love stuffing. And I do have some of the top of the stove stuffing at my house. So this is a nutrition facts label from one of those brands. You can see that once it's prepared with margarine, not with butter, with margarine, we're clocking in at 150 calories. But what I want you to look at a little bit more is the amount of fat, the amount, which is 6 grams, the amount of sodium, which is 480 milligrams, about 20% of your daily intake. And that's if you have a normal a 2,000 calorie diet, but also if you're not trying to watch your sodium, that's a fair amount for a half of a cup of stuffing. I know I don't eat half a cup. So your dietary fiber is only 1 gram. Looks like there's some added sugars and a little bit of protein. Now I have another option for you. Okay. And again, a QR code there if you're interested. Here we have a half a cup of reduced sodium whole wheat herb stuffing. The recipe includes fresh vegetables and herbs, which is, has those fresh veggies and herbs have got, just packed with nutrition and a lot of flavor. So really good to add to your foods to make up for keeping out added fats, sodium, sugar, things like that. At any rate, you can see that, yes, our calories are a little bit higher here. Okay, 165 calories, but pretty negligible. But our sodium, if we're on a low sodium diet, our sodium is only a fraction of what the top of the stove stuffing was. We also have got vitamin C, calcium, iron, vitamin A, and still 3 grams of fiber in there. So really, you are trading a couple calories. I would call that negligible, not really of too much concern, but you are getting in return using whole wheat, whole grain stuffing. You're getting the fiber, the vitamin A, the vitamin C, the calcium, the iron. So sometimes you've got to out or weigh the risks and the benefits there of choosing different foods. But it looks like and like what I'm going to be making in a couple weeks will be something like this. Okay. And then I just want to kind of bring you back to, different choices. This is kind of a tried and true information page that we often use or give out. And just to remember that your plate isn't everything. When you are making holiday food choices, you're going to want to think about your drink. So again, that low-fat milk, low-fat chocolate milk, orange juice even, and water are going to be far superior in many attributes, including those vitamins and minerals, okay, those things that our body needs to function. They're going to score way higher than those fruit punches, those sport drinks, the Coca-Cola or whatever you're drinking. So just keep in mind that these foods typically, although orange juice still has a fair amount of sugar in it, And so can that chocolate milk that typically they're lower in sugar, in calories, all those things. And the best part is that they are loaded with those vitamins and minerals that we need. So keep that in mind. And now is the fun part. So I thought that I would, and if you give me a moment, I'm going to stop sharing. I thought that I would demonstrate a couple of mocktails for you all. So I've got one or two that I can show you. I do not have the recipes, but I'll make sure that Jordan gets them out to you. These are just fun ways. Again, even though it wasn't on my infographic, alcohol and just mixed drinks in general with or without alcohol, can be very high in calories, which again can add those extra pounds. So I've got about 5 or 6 recipes that I will send to Jordan to make sure that she gets to you. But I'm going to show 1 or 2 of them right now. So let me just fix my computer. If you get motion sick, just close your eyes for a second. I'm going to walk around, set you up. You can open your eyes now. Wait, that will work. Okay. Okay. And hopefully y'all can still see me and can hear me okay.
Yep, I can see you and hear you.
Excellent. Very good. So I've got a couple of recipes here. And again, we are going to trade our sugar, our salt, our fats for vitamins and minerals and flavor. Flavor is the biggest thing. So one thing that I'm going to start to do is create or make a peppermint hot chocolate. And like I said, mocktails seem to be all the rage. It seems like people are moving away from mixing alcohol into their drinks, which is, really positive, especially around the holidays if you're traveling and things like that. So really exciting to get all these new recipes. And they're a little bit cheaper than buying any mixers. So I have mixed a cup of milk. Actually, I used almond milk today, and I'm making a peppermint hot chocolate. So all I'm going to do is warm up this almond milk. I've got kind of a warmer here, and I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. So this is unsweetened baking cocoa powder. Now, if you want to add a little sugar, I'm not going to come over to your holiday festivities and say that's not how it's done. That is up to you. Some people still need a little sweet, but I'll show you where we're going to add the sweetness in. So there's 1 and there's 2 of my tablespoons. And I'm just going to stir this. I know that you can't see this part, but it is already, it's just on warm and we're starting to bubble a little here. So we're getting warm, and you can use a whisk to make this all nice and smooth. I've got a nonstick here and I don't have a silicone whisk. So I'm just using a wooden spoon, trying to get out some of the lumps. But this is as simple as warming this up. I am going to add a little bit of sugar. The recipe does call for a tablespoon. I'm probably just going to add a teaspoon because I don't like super sweet. Okay, and again, if you wanted to use a sugar substitute, that's up to you. You can definitely do that. So I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to shut this off. Now, the nice thing about these pans here are that you can prep items in here and leave them warm, leave a ladle available like this or in a slow cooker, and make this available to all of your guests so that you're not having to make it on demand kind of thing. Or it's nice if you're just home alone, you and your husband or wife or somebody. It's nice that you can, in these drinks, just make one or two servings at a time. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is add just a tiny bit of peppermint extract. Yeah, that cleared my sinuses, y'all. I know you can't smell it over here, but cleared my sinuses and they needed that. So here I've got my finished product. That's all you have to do. You can garnish this. I have not got a coffee cup, so I'm just going to put this. If you wanted to, you could pour this over ice and make an iced drink. But hopefully you're seeing up. It's nice and warm. It's ready to go. You can garnish this with whipped cream and even some candy canes. So if you just stick a candy cane in there, be really super cute, up and top it with some crushed candy cane, that type of thing. So really cute. I feel like I should taste test this in front of you all. It smells really good. This is the moment of truth. There's a little too much. I spilled the peppermint in there. But other than that, it's really tasty. So, and again, you can adjust that sweetness level. Like I said, the nice thing is that we're getting all the vitamins and minerals, and we are in control of making these choices ourselves, rather than buying a mixed packet and not really knowing what is in there. Okay. Oh yeah, Jordan, your sinuses, they're getting you too, huh? I'll send, make sure you get the recipe. Okay, the next thing, I know somebody said that they really like eggnog. So we're gonna make an eggnog mocktail. So we're gonna use a cup of almond milk. And I'm gonna get another saucepan real quick. But first I'll measure out, actually, I'll go grab that real quick. And again, if you want to use almond milk, perfect. If you like oat milk, give it a whirl. This is just what I bought today. One thingamajigger. Let's try this one. There we go. Okay. I'm going to warm up this almond milk again. Okay. And I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of honey. A clean tablespoon. Making a mess here, but it's not fun unless it's messy. So we'll get a tablespoon of honey. Okay, there we go. We'll kind of let that pour out. And then we're going to measure just a portion of nutmeg. Actually, I'm going to kind of scoop this honey out of here best I can. Okay. So our sweetener is our honey. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of vanilla extract, which I left in the other room, so we're gonna skip that part. But we would add a quarter teaspoon and then just a quarter teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Now, I didn't have nutmeg today, so I'm just gonna use a little bit of cinnamon for this. A scoop. Okay. Oh, that smells really good. So I'm just gonna stir this. I'm trying to get a little more honey in there. Get my spoon. We go. I did on purpose add a little more cinnamon than I called for, but I love cinnamon, so. How many of you have, it's apple season, and I'm from up north where we have a lot of apples. Does anybody here like apples? A really good recipe if you like bought too many. Yeah, I see people saying, yes, I love apples. Slice those apples up at nighttime. Yeah, apple cider. Oh, at nighttime, throw those apples in just on warm. Slice them up, peel them, throw them in a slow cooker on warm. You can do that like overnight. Add some cinnamon. Oh, you wake up in the morning to fresh, warm, unsweetened. You don't need to add anything but maybe a quarter to a half a cup of water. Oh, you wake up, the whole kitchen is going to smell like cinnamon apples, and you don't need any sweetener, nothing like that. Is just so nice, especially when on those cold mornings. So just one way to use those. If you like, I put in a peel or two sometimes just for a little bit of color. I'll throw a couple pieces in. Just know that the apples may turn that, they oxidize. So they may turn a little brown. It's not going to be like what you see at the store. So, but they're still good. So here again, I have my eggnog mocktail, and I'm going to pour this in, and you can just add again if you want. Yeah, it kind of does look like eggnog. If you want to add whipped cream, they make that low fat too. But heavy whipping cream, you can again add some embellishments here, even some a little bit more nutmeg if you want. But cheers, everybody. I'm going to give this a roll too. It's hot. Oh, that's really nice. It's really good, y'all. I hope that you all make these. And just another way, I mean, I love eggnog too, but it's very high in fat and calories. So, are there any questions? I see some comments about the apples. That's good. I do have just another couple other little things to show you real quick then. Just to kind of spruce up these mocktails, one easy thing to use is a pomegranate. These seeds are kind of fun. They're great. If you haven't used these, you kind of I just slice them in half, and then I know there's a better way of doing this, but I just kind of have fun breaking them open, kind of like He-Man or whatever. The Hulk. Have fun breaking them open and then pulling out these seeds. And these seeds make great little additions to sparkling drinks, to ice cubes. I've got some that I froze here to show you all. Got to get it out of my cooler. So I froze some ice cubes earlier today, and I just put little things in them like some rosemary and some pomegranate, and they're just really fun to add to sparkling drinks for a little bit of color, a little bit of flavor. Here we can just add some sparkling water. And it kind of gets that holiday, we can add our ice cubes with our pretty colors and flavors. I got some orange in there too. If we wanted to dress this up a little more, because it's a cocktail, we can, put a orange slice in there. Okay. Just like that. A little smaller maybe. And yeah, so just some fun things to do. Cinnamon sticks, that's something you could add to this eggnog mocktail. So lots of fun to be had.